Well, joining me now for some analysis is the Middle East expert Nabila Ramdani. It's good to have you on the programme tonight. And I tell you, the footage coming out of Egypt is horrific today, isn't it? Why do you think security forces have moved in now to get rid of these camps?
Well, effectively, what is happening in Egypt at the moment is you have the standoff continues between two deeply entrenched camps and indeed historical rivals. The Muslim Brotherhood on the one hand and their supporters who feel that they have been let down by the democratic process after the removal by a military coup of their democratically elected president, and who are determined to reinstate the president and end military rule. And on the other hand, the army who is reluctant to hand over power to civilian government and who is determined to clear those areas of protest and indeed even resorting to ferocious crackdowns.
Well, let's have a look at some of the footage that's been coming out. You talked about camps being removed today. This is pictures from Al Nada protest camp that you can see violence in the area, and it's saying that was removed, or the bulldozers you can see going in. What do you make of the tactics they're using? Because, you know, ordinary innocent civilians are being killed here, aren't they?
Well, indeed, the tactics used by military forces are highly controversial and undemocratic. Reports coming out of Egypt are saying that effectively the army is using snipers, live ammunitions and even military bulldozers to clear those areas. And of course, the imprisonment of a democratically elected president was always going to lead to huge demonstrations by the people who brought him to power. But this also triggers, clashes and deadly ones. And we are now witnessing routine killings by the army of protesters.
And we understand from certainly the Muslim Brotherhood that up to 800, maybe even more, maybe even talks of 2,000 people have been killed. The health ministry, though, says that number is far lower than that. I suppose it's impossible to verify these numbers, isn't it?
It is indeed. Having said that, there are reporters on the ground and indeed journalists who are specifically being targeted by security forces, who are effectively saying that the scenes are at makeshift morgues are scenes of horror, and the footage is too graphic to circulate. And I'm afraid that the now imposition of the state of emergency and curfews will further, give the army the power to crowd down even more and indeed limit basic freedoms like the right to protest as far as demonstrators are concerned.
And of course, very tragically, a Sky News cameraman, Mick Dean, was killed today. We heard about that. What does this all mean for Egypt? Of course, the Arab Spring wasn't that long ago. Is it just growing pains or something more serious? What do you think?
Well, you're quite right to speak about the Arab Spring and Tahrir Square in particular, who was the focal point of pro-democracy Arab revolutions in the Arab world, and now effectively descending into chaos. It's hard to see that in the short terms democracy will take hold if the army keeps being the ultimate arbiter of who's allowed to rule the country and indeed resorts to extreme violence like today.
OK, Nabila, for now, thank you very much for joining. Nabila Ramdani there, Middle East expert.